Hey guys, so today I'm going to be disassembling a Honda Insight first gen motor. Mainly just because I wanted to see if there's any cool pieces of engineering inside that would make it different from, let's say, a regular Civic motor. I really don't think there will be, but one way to find out. I enjoy doing this stuff, so I don't really mind. Also, before I start, I know these engines are rare. I've had this posted for months for sale, and I haven't gotten a single inquiry about it. So this is going to be disassembled and taken to the scrapyard. I wish I could have sold it to someone to keep their car running, but no takers on it. So also, before I get the valve cover off right here, here's some specs on this engine. So you're looking at the full power plant of the first gen Insight, which is a 70 horsepower combined electric motor and engine. So 1 liter 3-cylinder. It has some cool things like 25-to-1 lean burn to help with mileage, and some other stuff. I don't know. The engine itself makes 57 horsepower, and then the electric motor's 13. And yeah, that's all I can think of right now, but valve cover. So one thing I'm noticing straight off the bat now that I have the valve cover off is these valve springs are extremely tall. They're probably 2.5 inches. So as I continue to get into this, I'm wondering if the cam is going to have really large lobes or something like that. But that's something I noticed. Obviously, I'm comparing this to my K24, which was designed after this motor. But just to see some comparisons, it also appears the K24, it looks like the cam's above all the rockers, versus here, it's below it. It's a little interesting. Maybe that's more similar to a B series or a D series. As you can see, it is a single cam with 4 valves per cylinder. Something my dad just pointed out, because he was a mechanic for Honda for a long time during this period when these, around when the late 90s, early 2000s. These generally, this engine architecture would have a belt instead of a timing chain, so that's something cool. It's a little different. So another thing to note, here's a cam. Another thing to note as I take this engine apart is this thing had 225,000 miles on it, and it's looking, pretty good. I'm not seeing any score marks. Coloration looks good. It looks pretty pristine inside. Really goes to show, how good Hondas can be. So one of the coils did have a lot of oil in it. So I am going to be wary of that when I take out, it's this cylinder right here, so we'll see what's going on there. But yeah. Something else my dad had pointed out is that this exhaust manifold kind of molded into the head is, everyone thought this was new, on like the new NA TLXs and, some of the, I think the K20 Z3 or something had it. But everyone was thinking these were new. Oh, I think the new Type R has it like that too. No, it's 2001. Here's another cool thing. So the thermostat, water pump, and oil cooler are all in one unit, which coming from small block Chevys, that's something different. But you have lines that go straight from the water pump into where your oil filter goes. So yeah, I thought that was cool. Something else I want to note here is this is a 1 liter, so displacement wise, this thing is smaller than my KTM 1290. But even then, form factor, it's still pretty big for a 1 liter, but still small. Look at how the whole engine is like the size of my hand. It's stupidly small, and the K series form factor wise is like twice as big. So I just thought that was cool too. This thing's really tiny. It only weighs like probably like 100 pounds, even with the electric motor on it. All right, so here I have the head off, and honestly, good amount of carbon buildup, but, and like I said, I'm no mechanic, but I'm not looking too bad. Got a lot of coolant jackets here, I've noticed, compared to a regular motor. And then look at how tiny these pistons are. They're literally smaller than my palm. But yeah, so I mean, I'll let you guys be the judge, but to me these don't look too bad. The car was running good before it was taken apart, but yeah. All aluminum too. This head, this whole piece, maybe like 20 pounds. So now that that's off too, here we have the actual cylinders, which the cylinder walls are looking pretty good. I'm not seeing a ton of scoring in these ones. And then the actual pistons, you know, they don't have a ton of carbon on them either for 225,000 miles. Really not too bad. Also, looking at this, the firing order, it's one cylinder at a time, which I don't know if that's normal for 3 cylinders. I think it is, but it might not be. So here's the flywheel, and this thing is also really tiny. I don't know, maybe you Honda guys tell me, but I think this is really, it's like half the size of a Chevy one. It's like maybe 10 pounds. So now that that's off, because that was a manual car, here we have the electric motor, which, so I guess that's interesting. So here we have the electric motor with all the coils and magnets in here, as well as some, I guess, some terminals or something. But this is interesting. I've never actually seen a hybrid car motor in person, so this is cool to kind of look at. But yeah, so next is, I guess, getting this out, getting this separated from the block itself. So here we have the motor off. All I did was take out these, and then there were 2 bolts at the top corners, and then it just pried off. And so this is what, 13 horsepower, and I don't know how much torque. I think it's like 20 torque, looks like. But this is also over half the weight of this motor. This rotating assembly now is like maybe 45 pounds, like for the whole bottom end and the block. It's crazy. So here's what it's looking like with the oil pan off. So you have your pickup, your windage tray, and then just your main caps, and yeah, I mean, it looks pretty standard. Here's something I just noticed, is this windage tray is actually all one piece with the main caps. This is all one big piece. This is not multiple parts. Normally, you know, you would have your 4 main caps and then your windage tray separate. This is just all one. It's pretty cool. So it looks like for our connecting rod bolts, we have like 8mm 12 points. And just another note, look at the bearings, look absolutely phenomenal. Crank, you know, there's not really, this is perfectly smooth. There's 0 scoring on here. Yeah, Honda knows how to make a good economy car, for sure. All right, guys, so it's officially apart. Here's the tiny little crank. Here's the block itself. Really small. Really light. I mean, this whole block is probably like maybe 20 pounds. But yeah, so now we're gonna take it to the junkyard, see what we get for the aluminum and the steel that was in this engine. Probably not a lot. Oh, and the copper from the electric motor, but probably not a lot, but we'll see. This was really fun to do. This was, like, I think a good experience, although I will say I didn't really learn much because I didn't see much that was super different from a regular engine. I will say I like what they did with this, with these like girdle things for the crank. Unlike the small block, it's kind of like the LS, how they have them like across for extra strength and probably little less vibrations and stuff like that because it's stiffer.